Hi, this is Maria with this second podcast in series of podcasts on adjectives for the Flipped Classroom podcast series. Today we'll be looking a little bit at the at adjectives and its use in writing and how you can effectively use your knowledge of adjectives to create better text. So the theme here is adjectives and writing technique. Um, Content is just to go through positive, negative, and neutral adjectives, general versus specific adjectives, how to use synonyms and antonyms, and being aware of the endings of adjectives, and how to form adjectives from nouns and verbs. That's something you'll be working with in class. First of all, you can differ between positive, negative, and neutral adjectives. A lot of people think that adjectives are always positive, but try to figure out what the purpose of the adjective is. Is it to praise? Is it to criticize? Or is it just to neutrally describe? And how does that purpose correspond to the genre and the style of the writing? A lot of writers tend to not use any sort of value written positive or negative adjectives, but strictly sticking with the neutral adjectives for a more clean style. But if obviously, as is written in right away, if you have an example of an ad, you'll find pretty much only positive adjectives. So you might want to think about this when you analyze or even when you write yourselves. Overuse of positive adjectives can sort of unnecessarily inflate your text and actually make it less credible. But think about that and sort of the dangers of overuse of adjectives. What's more important here is actually figuring out how to elaborate your use of adjectives. Learning how to differ between general and specific adjectives. General adjectives sort of can describe a broad series of things, and they're kind of they're not really that filled with meaning. They're sort of washed out of meanings. For example, nice, good, great, beautiful, fine, bad, awful. You hear them so much, and they can cover such a range of things that it's really pretty unclear what you're talking about when you use these adjectives. So in your normal spoken language, fine, but whenever you write essays and stuff, and even your own creative writing, try to tune into using more specific adjectives. Here are a couple of examples. I mean, you can probably find tons and tons of better examples, but spacious, sandy, stuffy, examples from a text in right away. Devious, honest, bright, outgoing. So instead of just saying he's a great guy, you might want to say that he's an honest guy, he's a bright guy, he's an outgoing guy or something. That'll be a more specific description. And also you turn a little bit away from the overly positive adjectives to more neutrally descriptive adjectives, which gives the text more credibility. Synonyms and antonyms, we've been through this tons of times. Learn how to use the thesaurus. If you're working on Mac, you have an inbuilt thesaurus. If you're working on a PC, you can use thesaurus.com, and try to make it a habit to figure out which of these adjectives are too general and how can I find a more specific one. That's a great way of developing your vocabulary. Antonyms can also be relevant because texts typically describe contrasts between things and peoples and settings, so you might end up having a really weak description of contrast if you don't have a very firm grip on the specific antonyms. Those can also be found in the thesaurus, and we'll work on a couple of exercises on this in class. Last up, endings of adjectives, the suffix in English as it's called, and here I've listed 4, 8, 12 endings. 8 us, able, al, ed, full, ik, ikkel, ing, ish, if, or e, um, which you which normally sort of finishes adjectives, but it's also a way of being aware of um, how you can develop other words into adjectives, namely verbs and nouns. And there's an example, I think it's task 17, where um, you have to transform the noun aggression into an adjective, and you hear, and then you have to figure out which of these suffixes are relevant here, and you can use the the second to last, the if one. Instead of aggression, it'll be aggressive. You can oftentimes hear which suffix is is appropriate, but you can also look it up in the dictionary. So that's it. That's a brief one on adjectives and writing technique. Bye.